Hello people, welcome to the Gaming Potato. I've changed the channel slightly, and I'm going to cover films and TV as well as games, because, well, I like film and TV as well. So today I'm going to show you 10 film series, or films, that I like. I suppose you could call them my favourites. I'm not necessarily saying that everyone should watch these films, they're just films I generally like. Anyway, we'll start off with The Matrix trilogy. It began in 1999 and it ran until 2003 with 3 films in total. It's about a dude that gets, I suppose, contacted by these people who are like people, and then he gets told that the world he lives in isn't real and that it's just a computer simulation, and he's then pulled out of that simulation and put into the real world, which is like some kind of dystopian future where everything's fucked up, and people are plugged into a big computer, which is the world we live in. And it's basically, the trilogy is just his journey to shut the Matrix down. Yeah, it's a very good trilogy. Quite well filmed, well directed, good CGI, everything else, everything you'd expect from a trilogy. Everything's there. It explains everything. The story's a bit complicated at times, but if you get to know it, it's a very well put together story. Anyway, next up is the Saw franchise. I'm with horror. I'm a bit weird. I like blood and gore and stuff, but I'm not too keen on like out in your face, jumping, screaming, that kind of stuff. So Saw fitted this perfectly because all this is just blood and guts flying everywhere all the time. It's about a dude called Jigsaw over the 7 films, who catches his victims and puts them in traps in which they need to escape to save their lives. He doesn't kill them, and he says that it makes them appreciate the life they have if they live. I think it's a very unique idea and take on things, and I can actually see the logic in it. Obviously I would never want something like this to actually come true, but I can see the logic in the way they were thinking when they were making this, and it's a very interesting series, if at times a bit crap. Next up is a fairly odd film. It's called In Time, and it's made in 2011, and it stars Justin Timberlake and Amanda Seyfried, I think that's how you say her name. And basically, money doesn't exist. Instead, we have time on, instead of a watch, we have time on our arms, and you spend time like you would spend money. So the poor live like a day, and the rich live forever. It's a very interesting concept and spin on things. It's a well designed film. Quite enjoyed it when I watched it. Next up, Cloverfield. I love my handheld camera film things, and Cloverfield's the first one I watched. It's also like a Godzilla kind of film set in America, and these people are at a party, and then shit goes down, and they're filming it with their camcorder. It was a very interesting idea. I don't know whether it was particularly unique, because I do know of other films that have done the handheld camera technique, but it did it really well, which is what I thought was quite good. It's nothing special, I suppose, but it's worth a look, especially at a price which is fairly reasonable. Anyway, up next, it's another handheld camera film. It's called Wreck. It's Spanish horror series, and all of it's in subtitles. It's all Spanish subtitled. There is a American remake of the first film called Quarantine. The premise of the first film is that a news team are following like a fire department kind of thing to call-outs over the night, and they get called into this apartment building, and then the CDC come in, so like disease control come in, and quarantine the building. And it turns out that there's like zombie things in there, like a virus. It's really well done. It's quite jumpy at times. I mean, I watched it in a cinema and I pooed myself. I've also watched the second film. The third film is out. Like, it was out in the cinemas and it's coming out on DVD later this year. And the fourth film will come out next year, and the fourth film is the final film. I wouldn't recommend it if you're a bit sort of like, if you're not good with films that make you jump. I wouldn't recommend it. But if you like films like that, if you like zombie films, then I recommend it. Up next is a film that will probably piss some people off, quite frankly, especially if you're a game fan. It's Silent Hill. I quite enjoyed the movie. I haven't really played many of the games. I mean, what I have played of the games I enjoyed, but the film, I don't know, I just felt as if I could relate to the film a bit more than the games. It created a world which I could feel I could dip in and out of any time I wanted to, rather than the games I needed to continually play and continually concentrate on the action that was going on. Whereas with the film, it was sort of like a really relaxed way of enjoying the same story. Anyone who's played the Silent Hill games will know the story. I think it follows the first game. So yeah, it's a pretty good story. It wasn't very well filmed, and it wasn't very well critically received, but I quite liked it. Anyway, up next, one of my favourite films ever is called Jumper. And it's a sci-fi action filmy thing. It's about this dude that has a superpower where he can teleport to anywhere he wants to go. And he's being hunted down by like a organisation that believe that no one should have this kind of power. There are others of him, and they always hunt down and kill them because they believe only gods should have this kind of power, or everyone should have it. It's a very interesting concept. It's quite a good film. It's got a bit of romance in it for the women, or if you're a dude, if you like that thing. And it's got lots of action, and it's a sci-fi film. And it's a superhero film as well, so it's quite good. Up next, perhaps the greatest superhero trilogy ever. It's the new Christopher Nolan Batman films, which contains Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises. Picture on here is Dark Knight Rises simply because I think that's the greatest superhero film that has ever been made. Spanned from 2005 to 2012. I hope they don't make any more, because the third film was absolutely goddamn amazing. I was surprised they managed to top the second film. I don't really know what to say about it, because it's quite a complex plot to explain, so I'll say watch them yourselves. If you're a superhero fan, you've probably already watched them, especially if you're a Batman fan. If you're not, and you're sort of interested, definitely go for it, they're worth a look. Up next, Danny Boyle is probably one of my favourite directors ever, and his film Sunshine, which was in 2007, probably tops that list for me, either that or 28 Days Later, but 28 Days Later isn't on this. It's about this team of scientists that are sent into space to reignite the sun, which is dying, and it's putting the Earth into a second ice age. And along the way, they find that the first mission sent to the sun to reignite it, they find their ship, and then when they find it, they lose some oxygen. They're all going to die before they get to the sun, so they begin killing each other off, and it turns out that actually someone from the other ship has survived and is trying to kill them off as well. It sort of turns into a bit of a sort of like thrillery kind of horror film. It's a nice twist on a sci-fi kind of film. Up next, my favourite film of all time. I can't believe how many times I've watched this film. I love the books. I think it was a bit shitty, the transition from the books to the film. I think they should have done 2 or 3 films instead of just the one. It is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Story of Scott Pilgrim is a hilarious story. It's about a 21-year-old guy who's dating like this 22, 23-year-old girl, but he's also dating a 17-year-old, and there's also 7 evil exes for the 23-year-old that he needs to defeat in order to go out with her, but he can't tell the 17-year-old that he's going out with the 23-year-old because he feels bad when he realises that he's cheating on her. It's just a laugh, really. It's a great comedy, very well directed. I mean, the books are great, and the film's amazing. I prefer the books, but the film's pretty damn good as well. I recommend that if you're like a comedy fan, if you're a geek, because it has lots of game and film references. It's a pretty damn good film overall. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment of your favourite films, and yeah, please check out the other stuff. Thanks.